Hey, my name's Adam. Welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, we're actually going to take a look at this beast. It is an Audi RS3. This is actually a friend of mine's car, and today we're going to do everything from an oil change to test some Apex wheels to installing a radar detector, or at least the wiring for a radar detector. It's almost like we're getting it ready for one lap of America. Very quick, brief overview of what One Lap of America is. It is the original Cannonball Run. So if you remember the film 1981 Cannonball Run, this is it. I will do a full sort of update on what happened last year, but here is the website. Go to onelapofamerica.com. You see the route for 2024. You can see we're starting in Indiana. We go across to Nebraska, Colorado, Kansas, all the way through. But basically you see it's normally around 5,000 miles, including track time. So make sure you stay tuned for a future video where I will go over exactly what happened last year when we took that 2015 Audi S4 on One Lap of America. So we're not going to hang around today, we're going to jump straight into the oil change. And I do things a little bit differently. I think in the dealership they normally vacuum or at least suck the oil out of the dipstick tube. I'm not going to do that, I'm old school. I've got to take the under tray off anyway to replace that filter. So while I'm there, I'm just going to drain it using the sump. And it also means I get to filter it because I like to put all oil through a filter just in case there are any chunks. Maybe that's racing history where that might have happened once or twice. Not today though, right? No chunks. So before getting the car up in the air, one thing we need to do, if I can work out how to open it, is to loosen the oil cap. That just means that when we release the oil from down below, there's no air pocket and it will just flow nicely. So don't forget to do that if you drain it from the bottom. Really easy to take off the under tray. There are just some T25 bolts. So there's one in the middle there, 3 down the sides here, 3 down this side. These are recessed a little bit. And then there's T45 bolts back here. Power tools not required. Although it might make it quicker. I just don't like doing it on plastic. Well, goes into a metal clip, but still. The amount of under trays I've seen with missing bolts, where people just go crazy with power tools and then strip things and break things, and no need, there's no need. It's therapeutic this way. Plus you get time to look around until it's winter. Car's covered in salt and yeah. Can I do this one-handed? Yep, huge bolt for an under tray. So I'm going to have to do the same on the S4. I didn't realise, but it looks like Porsche and Audi actually zip tie on the ducts. That would explain why mine shifted. See the under tray already wants to come off. And then just, oh, did I release the ones at the front? Oh. No, I didn't, did I? Now it should come out. Oh, I remember. These. There's one. There's the other. Glorious. So we're ready to drain the oil. Pans in place. Oil sample container. And of course, I like to filter everything. This has only got just under 6,000 miles on it, so it should be pretty clean. But we'll see. So you have to drain this first, and then we drain the filter housing. Using the right tool, don't use a screwdriver. You'll see what I mean in a minute. Alright. This is normally where it goes all crazy. Pot's ready. Filter's ready. Nice. Looks really good. We had suspected it had just been changed because we found a leak. Yeah, look at that. That's fairly fresh oil. Looks really good. Smells really good. I've already fixed a leak. I'll show you that in a minute. Finally down to a drip. Now for the filter. So when the owner got the car, I went round and took a look and I saw a little bit of oil and it was coming from the end of this filter. I'm going to get the car up in the air in a minute, but basically this area was covered with oil and the oil wasn't low, but, and you can see there was a little bit of oil residue there. So we cleaned everything up. I cleaned this and tightened this. I'm expecting, if I undo this, to find some oil. And it's because whoever did the oil change before didn't or might not have used the right tool. So we're going to check that out with the car up in the air. You can get a better view now. So this is the filter housing, and as I loosen this, I think I'm going to find some oil. We'll see. Yeah, you see how that's wet. So there is a tool that we're going to screw in here to drain and release the pressure from the housing before we undo it. Let's go ahead and do that. So here it is then. So you can see here, this has actually got a machined part. So this is going to screw in, and that is going to release the pressure from the end of the filter housing itself. That's probably the easiest way. There we go. See the oil come down there. So this is no different to the M5 with the small little Allen bolt that comes out the centre. I can just watch it fill up now. Now, am I going to make a mess? The answer is probably yes. I think we're pretty much there. See if we can take this off now. Famous last words. Not impressed with these tolerances. For the filter housing itself, there is another tool. I will put all the part numbers below. This should be a perfect fit on the end there. There we go. That'll allow us to torque it in a minute too. Oh, that made a bit of a mess. Didn't let it drain long enough. Got a brand new drain plug with a brand new washer, and guess what the torque is? You got it, 25 Newton meters. Seems like every drain plug torque is that. So a couple of things to check out. One is we have the filter, and as you can see there is absolutely nothing in there. I doubt this was the break-in oil, I doubt this was the original oil. I think that has been changed since. You saw how clean it was. Having a closer look at this though, you can see that it's actually fairly eaten up. This was where the weep was last time, and while reading online it looks like people who stab these with screwdrivers end up causing some issues. So I don't know if that's what's happened here. I can't see any evidence of that, but this is fairly chewed up. Now the one thing that a lot of people do is very gently, we don't want to cut this, right, but these are small enough that they will reach in, is you just support it either side and drop it, apparently. Right, let's try and set that up. All we're going to do is take these and gently pull it up. Can you hear it go click? That apparently stops the weep. I just don't know if I want to trust this one because it was leaking before, so it wants to be level basically with the top of this. I might keep this one as a spare, and I did actually go ahead and order another one because I feared it was leaking. So here is a new one. Check that out. Hang on a minute. What on earth? Why is it oily? It's been used before. What the heck? Curious now to see if someone has bought this and returned. No, I mean that looks good, but why is it oily? I don't get it. And you can see how that is flush with the top there. But why is this oily? So this isn't a great place to be in with a friend's car. I knew that the oil filter housing was potentially leaking, that's why I ordered it, but I spoke to the supplier and they lived up to their high quality customer service name, or at least their reputation, and just got it sorted. Let's take a listen to that audio now, just because sometimes you have to follow up.
Morning, Deutsche Auto Parts.
Good morning, I wonder if you can help. I was just following up on the status of a return I requested.
Sure, what's the order number?
Let me find that for you, 2 seconds.
You were trying to get the return approved.
Yes, that's correct, yep.
Did you happen to send any photos over of that?
Yeah, there's a video attached.
I got you. I found it now. Oh wow, I'm having issues seeing it.
No worries. I blame computers for everything, so it's okay.
It does have like an excessive amount of fluids or something going on there.
Right.
I'll get my my guys to shoot over a return label for that.
Wonderful. Thanks for your help.
So I'll approve the RMA here, and I will shoot you over this return label here shortly.
Sounds great. Really appreciate it. I was just editing the video for YouTube, so I'll make sure that it's presented accordingly.
I would appreciate it. Thank you for your support.
All right. Thanks, Devon. Have a good one.
You too.
Cheers. Bye. What a top bloke Devon was. Now, if you're anything like me, you might order parts way in advance. And when you do that, you run the risk that when you go to open it like this, they're wrong. So it's always a good practice to open the parts and check them when they arrive. I was super lucky in this case, it was a short enough time frame. On that note, if you're enjoying this video, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Learn from my lessons so you don't have to. Time to get back to the oil change. Now, don't worry, I'm not down and out. I'd actually ordered an oil filter just in case. Well, no, the oil filter housing just in case, and it came with its own oil filter, which was weird. But anyway, so I do have an oil filter. So let's jump back to that and get it done. What to do, what to do. Oh, hang on. I do have a filter here because I ordered one. So look at this. Okay, I wonder if we just go ahead and use this. Oh look, you get little instructions. Take the old one out, take out, put oil on the seal, put it in, and then put the filter in, and then torque it. Take this seal out, fresh pot of oil, clean hands, little bit of oil around the seal. That seal can go back in the hole, just like that. New filter can go in. I always like to have the numbers up. That's ready to go back on the car. One thing to note, you can see it's still dripping there, and so that's now dripped onto the side, actually onto this lip here, and then it runs down here and goes all the way back there, and it looks like there's a pan leak. It isn't, but I can't clean it up until I get the filter back in, so you can see that drip then. So let's go ahead and do that. As we saw earlier, it's another 25 Newton meters. Now we can clean things up a bit. Next time I'm going to let it drain a lot longer, because this makes a mess. I'm actually going to leave this cap off, because when I fill it with oil, I want to make sure this isn't leaking. Time to get it down and fill it with oil. And here is the oil. Oh look, the pan matches the colour of the car. But as you can see, I mean, this oil is actually in really good condition. There's no glitter, so it's not like there's any worry about the engine. And it's actually a really good colour, which means it was fairly fresh. And you can see a little bit that's spilt down there, just how fresh it was. I'm going to measure this out to know exactly how much to put back in. Bearing in mind I have spilt some, so I will have to add a little bit more. And then measure it with the dipstick. Because this car actually has a dipstick. So if you've watched any of my other videos, you'll know that I like to use a funnel that actually screws in here for any of the S4, S5s, RS5. This car, however, has got a different cap, and so it won't work. I have to do it manually. It's been so long since I've had to do this. How much can I not spill? Hey, still got it. Come on, balance. Ah, oh, come on, Audi. BMWs would. This is number 6, then we're going to have to start measuring, because so far I've measured that we've taken 6 and a bit out, maybe 6.5. Time to check the dipstick. At this point we just want to see it registering, because if it's not registering now, not much chance when it starts up. So it is just above minimum. So I'm going to go and put at least another half quart in. Now, obviously all of that won't drain down yet, but we should be getting closer. and we're just over halfway, so we're not at max yet. So I'm going to start the engine with the cap back on, just to allow that oil to get everywhere it should, and check that filter down below. Ready? Sounds smooth. Time to see if it's leaking. It's not running if it is. Well, this engine sounds amazing. Tiny little bit of revs. Then we can turn it off and let it drain and check. So it's been about 5 minutes. Check the dipstick. I'm going to guess it's low. Yeah, so this is right on minimum. So we know we can add easily another half quart and go from there. Give that a few minutes to drain down and see where we're at. So that's 7 quarts. Should have drained down now. Let's check. We just want to make sure it's registering properly. And then we will check it when the car's warmed up. So it's about halfway now, which is a great place to start. Now onto the wheels. So I made a complete hash of draining that oil filter. I'm sure I'll get it next time. Now we are going to jump onto the wheels, and you might be wondering, why are we changing wheels on a brand new car? Well, the actual issue is that they're too big. So these are 19-inch, and if we go down to 18-inch wheels, it actually opens up the selections of tyres that we can use from 14, I think it was on Tyre Rack, all the way to 36. So many more manufacturers, many more different compounds, and with a new car like this, it's well worth doing. Now if we end up settling on a tyre, we might go back to 19s, but for now 18s it is. So let's check out a few reasons why you might actually want to change wheel size. One, of course, is tyre selection, so that's always going to be an issue. But in this case then, another compelling reason to go to smaller rims is actually the tyre cost. So I think it was the difference in fronts were like $100 difference and the rears were $50. That's per tyre. So for a set of 4, we're saving $300 for a set. Now that's well worth it. Now, many people will say that a lower profile tyre will actually have better handling characteristics, and that is true in a sense. Now, it all does come down to that sidewall, so even if you've got a larger sidewall, you can actually have a rigid large sidewall and it will still work very well. I mean, look at a Formula 1 car. Okay, there's regulations, they have to be a certain size, but forget that, get the idea, right? They've got a massive sidewall and they can still make it work at humongous G-forces. But basically that sidewall and the tyre itself, that actually forms part of the spring rate of the car and the suspension. So there's an air cushion there, so everything from the pressure you're running to the, well actually it's dependent on temperature, so the temperature that's actually in that wheel, all of those things will affect the handling of the vehicle. The ultimate goal here then is to get a great wheel that fits over those humongous ceramic brakes, don't they look gorgeous, but then gives us a tyre selection, a reasonable one, because we need to test a few. These are the wheels, they are Apex wheels. We're using these for one lap of America. You can see that they come in 18x9 and 18x9.5. We've been assured they fit over the brakes, but because the brakes are so big, we are gonna check. So let's take a look at what they look like out of the box. Throw them on the car to make sure there are no issues. Fantastic. Look how well packaged it is. Somewhere, there we go. Check those out. Don't they look gorgeous? They are just fantastic. So these are the 18x9s, these are the ones for the back. Not worried about those, but we're going to check them anyway. These are the ones we're worried about. These are 18x9.5. You'll also notice then that this is an offset of 20 and these are an offset of 42. So that just shows you how much closer these basically are set back from the face. What a horrible noise. Because on the RS3, the wider wheels are at the front. reduce the understeer. Ah, there you go. That's better. So you can see how much further that's offset. Because the offset is actually from the center of the wheel, which is why it's doing what it's doing. And here are the specs for the wheels. They look awesome. And if you're not familiar, these are actually plastic caps that just come off. And this tool will actually be in the rest of your tools in the trunk area. So in the trunk, underneath the plastic, let's see, I'm going to show you. So under here, there's basically a toolkit that lives down there. So this is the toolkit, and here is where it's stored. I didn't realise this on the first Audi I had, but basically that just goes either side and you pull it off. Just cosmetically finish it off. And you can get them in different colours to match the wheels. I suppose it's cheaper to have silver lug nuts for everything. But let's get the wheel off and test the wheel. Now with any wheel, it's always good to actually use a socket that's got some plastic protection. So these are actually the gear wrench ones. I really like these. My other ones failed. Take these new gorgeous wheels. Huh. Yeah, no. There is no way this clears. That is not clearance, Clarence. Oh, Apex, you promised us. You knew it had the ceramic brakes. Right, time to find out what's what. Glad we didn't get the tyres fitted. Alright, original wheel back on. Check the back. Probably pull these off without using this. You can see the difference in offset of the wheel. So this one is the 42mm offset, which means from the centre of the wheel, it's 42mm forward. Is where the face of that touches the rotor. Maybe this is why they give you two. One for load bearing, because this wheel's not going to rotate, and the other one for alignment. Seems reasonable. This one's got to fit right. There we go. But before we torque them, let's check to make sure we don't have an oil leak. Alright, moment of truth. What do we think? Are we safe? Looks pretty good. Need to dry it all off and check again, but I think we're okay. One way to find out. Engine is running. We are dry. We can button this thing up. Torque the wheels. Good to go. Purring. So this cap can go back on. I can actually feel the engine nice and warm actually, that's good. Why am I doing the cross pattern even with these? It's like it's a habit. Now, the most important part is nice clean hands, because the tool case is so nice. Just pop these things away where they live, so they are ready for next time. And just went in there like that. This just kind of folded around there like that. You can never tell. Okay, so we're good on the rear wheels, but unfortunately those front wheels don't clear the caliper, and that's a nightmare. Apex had promised us, but it sounds like they were looking at the size of the rotor and not at the actual calipers themselves. So they are recommending a 3mm spacer, so we're going to go ahead and do that. Now it's going to be a trade-off between shifting that out to clear the caliper whilst not running into any rubbing issues in that wheel arch, so we just want to be super careful. I don't normally like using spacers, especially on something like this, which is a hub-centric. That means that basically that center part of the wheel is actually centering the wheel itself on the hub. So a hub-centric wheel, because the spacer then is going to be the one that's centered, and then the wheel relies on the actual lugs, or in this case the bolts, to actually center the wheel. So you can end up, if you're not careful, with slight off balance or imbalance, but it's fine. I mean, plenty of people use these in everyday life on the racetrack. They've been used for decades. It's not the end of the world, it's just a pain. And then it's also a pain if you're at the racetrack and you accidentally forget to fit the spacer and put the wheel back on. And I mean, if you forget and drive, that, in this case, it's going to be a nightmare. Although it would kind of self-clearance. Maybe, no, we're not going to do that. I did a quick final check of the oil after 5 minutes, just to let some of the oil drain back down, and it was just over half, so we're good. Done. Now on to the accessory behind the mirror. So we have to fit these to the mirror, and interestingly, this one here, the mirror tap itself, needs to go in from the passenger side and wire in. Well, looky what I found. There is evidence here that someone might have already done this. That should make our life easier, but I also noticed there's a crack, maybe? No, maybe that's meant to be there. Oh, we'll find out in a minute. But yeah, also up there you can see some evidence that someone might have done this before. So on plastic, use plastic. I don't really want to damage this anymore. There it is. See? No, you can't see. One side. I have to get around the driver's side, I think. Unless I can get it from here. No, I have to do the driver's side. You can just about see the angle. I had to move the mirror out of the way to get in there. It finally came off. I just had to lever down here with 2 hands. So this is what we're working with. Although I can't see any cables. Need to dig in a little bit more. They're hiding up there. It looks like to get to the cable, I've just released these. So just release that. And then to get the mirror off, apparently you can just grab it and pull. So I'm not sure about this one, but we'll see. Mirror's out. Plastic parts out. So here is where all of the plastic parts were, and that's where the mirror clips into. So this here, we're going to find power to tap into. So we've got to check that out. The multimeter I have with me is just a cheap fluke from Amazon, but I had to hold one of the probes over here because there's a nice ground spot there, and then the other probe I can literally come in and touch the pins rather than at the ends. I can just go in by the side. You see there? So all I was doing was, while I had one pin on the door, coming in here and just probing this until I found the ground, which was actually in this one. So there's at the top or the bottom, I don't know which, but anyway, one side it's got the 2 pins, and then on the other side it's got all 4, and it was the second one in. So that's where the ground goes. And now I've got to turn the accessories on and use that ground to find out where the power is. And all I'm going to do is literally hold the black probe on the ground and then probe all the other ones, looking for a switched power, so it will go to 12 volts when it connects. Switching it on to voltage with the car off, I'm just going to see if there's a permanent power. No. So now just hit the accessory on. Probably making a control box angry somewhere because it can't detect the mirror. And let's look for switch power. Where are you? Might be next door. So he's nervous using pins next door to each other. You don't want the probes to touch and short. There it is. So it's literally the one next door. So that, simple case of taking this, pushing it in there, and we have our power. Now I'm going to take a cable tie and actually just tie that up, and then reassemble everything and find out where this goes. So you can see I've basically put the cable ties to give it some strain relief. I probed them all out. It comes on 12 volt switched, which is awesome. Time to put everything back together. So as I suspected, that's not a slit, that is a crack. Someone has done this before, 100%. Has to have, because that's the way I would do it, but maybe I would have made it a bit neater. It's all back together, so you have to clip it in at the back as it goes up, push these together, and if this is a bit too long, well, it's not going anywhere, so hopefully that's more than enough. Oh, forgot a cover. That cover was the easiest one. Just slides in there, push it up at the back, and then it clips in. One last bit, blend mount. Can't complete the install because I don't have the rest of it, but it just clamps on. I mean, the instructions are actually really straightforward, so there it is. So there we have it. The oil change is done. We are confident that we don't have an oil leak actually on that oil filter housing itself. 2 out of the 4 wheels fit, but we have a solution for the front, which is great. And we've also fitted that wire for any accessories we might want to put behind the rear view mirror, in this case, a radar detector. So I really hope you've enjoyed today's video. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. And thanks for watching and have a great day. The next time you see this car, it might be on track.